Hi, Ethel. It's really good to see you, and thanks for making time for a chat.
Yeah.
The
Good.
year of the nurse and the midwife is a big milestone, and as I said before we started the interview just now, we're creating this kind of these recorded pieces as a point in time,
Mhm.
for the year of the nurse, and for people to look at and understand what happened this year, really, because it's been
Mhm.
uh, an odd year, partly because of COVID and also partly because of other, happenings around the world. So it'd be good to start with your, kind of a bit about who you are, a bit about your background, and a bit about your nursing career and
Mhm.
types of roles you've had. Is that okay?
That's fabulous. Yeah, thanks, Dave, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to have this conversation with you in such a crucial time and a crucial year. As we look at and really celebrate the year of the nurse and the midwife. Yes. With regards to my career journey, I'll start by telling you a little bit about my background. So I was born in Africa, in a country called Zimbabwe, and Harare to be more precise. I am one of six children. I grew up with my mom and dad. My mom was a housewife and my dad worked. We had a very, very happy upbringing and very happy childhood, very, very close knit family, very principled, and a lot of values that were instilled with us by my parents, and more so my mom, who was always at home. So I really feel privileged to have had that upbringing. Um, at the age of 19, I decided that I wanted to be a nurse, and it was really triggered by me having looked after my grandmother. That's my mom's mom.
Mm.
She was really poorly. She had diabetes, and it had also affected her eyesight. So she couldn't really maneuver around her home, to the point that she had to actually come and live with us in our home. So at a very young age, I learned how to just really care for her, but in a very compassionate way, and just kind of help her walk around and and help her with her meals, just interacting with her and making her meals for her. So it just really instilled that passion to care and to look after people. So after I finished my A levels, I decided that I wanted to come into the United Kingdom and actually study nursing. And I chose the United Kingdom because, as you know, the country that I come from, Zimbabwe, is a third world country. And I wanted to go somewhere where I could really get the best in terms of education. And so I was fortunate enough at the age of 19, and this was in the 90s. I won't say when, because otherwise you'll gauge my age and see just how old I am. Um, but I came into the country and at the age of 19, and went straight into university to study nursing. And I just don't regret having made that decision, Dave. It was just awesome to be able to understand nursing, to be able to understand what mental health nursing is about. But one striking thing, Dave, is in Africa, when we think about mental health or mental illness, we think about it as people really, really unwell,
Mm.
and and there's a lot of stigma that's attached to it, and we really see people as really being poorly and not being able to function, and just really maybe in a room, being nursed there, and there's a lot of confusion and everything, and that was my perception. But oh my goodness, I was completely wrong when I came to the UK, and especially when I had my first placement, which was with the elderly.
Mhm.
And um and I was thinking to myself, hang on, I thought I was coming to a mental health unit here. Like how come everyone is getting up and eating by themselves and actually going to take a shower,
Yeah.
and by themselves without so much help? And and I got to really understand what the presentation of mental illness
Mhm.
in different forms, and especially in the elderly.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was a really good experience, actually, coming challenging in
Mhm.
many ways, because an African girl coming into the United Kingdom, and coming to a place in the northwest of England where there was not very many Black people
Mm.
was it was a challenge, because for the first time I recognized that I'm a Black person, because then it was always pointed out to me.
And
And
how did that feel, Ethel? What was that experience like?
it was awkward. I think I'd never really looked at myself. I just saw myself as just another human being like anybody else. And because remember, I was brought up just, with, you're just as important as anybody else.
Mm.
And and then I came here, and then I started having people being curious about my hair texture, and it felt awkward. It was like, oh, that's a bit awkward.
Mm.
And then I remember, where I trained, there was a little child who was about 8, and I was in the high street, and the child looked at me and in complete shock and horror and was like, "Oh my God, Mom, look at her. She's
Yeah.
been in the sun for so long. She's burnt her skin. Mom, look." And he was pointing at me. And I just turned and I thought, what is going on? So I remember his mom coming to me and really apologizing and saying, "I'm really sorry. He's just never seen a Black person before." And I thought,
Mm.
wow,
Mm.
he's never seen a Black person before. What have I thought, what have I landed myself into here?
Mm.
And yeah, so it was the beginning of me recognizing that I was different, and that I I was going to be treated and looked at differently.
Mm.
Yeah, so that was such an experience.
Mm.
It turned my perception and altered my perception um of my how I applied myself to my work, because it gave me a little bit of anxiety in terms of, well, I'm different, and therefore I'm going to be seen differently. So even when I went on to my placements, my nursing placements, I always took a back seat. It
Did
was
you?
always about a back seat, because I thought, well, they already perceive me as different. I'm already the outcast here.
Uh-huh.
Nobody else looks like me. So I better be quiet. I better just take a back seat, because otherwise it's not going to be good, because already they're curious about me, because it was, oh, look at your hair. Oh my God, can I feel it? Can I touch it? It was those kind of things.
Mm.
And it was strange. It was a strange time.
Mm. How long were you working in that part of the country, and did that last, or
So
has that just continued, Ethel?
I was there for 3 years,
Mm.
and I can say that in that part of the country, there was maybe in the whole city where I was, maybe less than 10 people who were Black.
Mm.
So so that continued for the duration that I was there,
Mm.
because every placement I went to, there was nobody that looked like me, not even the patients, none of them,
Right.
not even Asian. It
Mm.
was, 100% white everywhere I went to. And yeah, it was awkward, but I had to do it. I
Mm.
had to pass. I knew that I wanted to be a nurse, so I had to adapt different ways of coping with it, but in ways that I couldn't really share with anybody else, because nobody else would understand what I was talking about.
Okay.
Because then if I went to my tutors at university, they would be like, "Oh no, everybody really likes you, Ethel. Everyone's, you're really well liked."
Mm.
But then they wouldn't really understand what I was talking about in terms of, yeah, but I'm seen as different. But every time you keep questioning me about my hair, or about, and when I'm in town, and not so much at the university, but when I'm in town and people stare and look,
Mm.
it's really not nice.
Mm.
It's really just, it just highlights that difference that you
Yeah.
have. Yeah, so there was something about me as a student nurse that now I reflect on and really think, wow, there's certain things that I would change if I was to repeat it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you after you qualified, what did you work in a particular branch of mental health nursing, or different areas?
Yeah.
After you'd qualified?
Yes. So when I qualified, guess what? The first thing I wanted to do, Dave, was to just run away from that part of the country
Mm.
to a part where there was more diverse people.
Mm.
So I ran off to London, and I just thought, I packed my bag the day I qualified. and got my results that had passed, I just packed my bags and I just went straight to London to get a job in London. And I landed myself in a place on an acute admissions ward
mm,
in central London, right in the center of London.
mm,
And wow, it was just, the way I can describe it, it's almost like being freed from a cage, if you
yeah,
like,
mm,
no more, not needing to be conformed to anyone's rules or anyone's ways of doing things, because I'd been really conformed to being a certain way where I was as a student nurse, because I had to cope with being there and cope with it. So suddenly being in London was like, whoa, I've been liberated, I've been set free, I can be me.
mm,
And no one's going to look at me in an awkward way, because the service users on the wards some of them looked like me, and it was nice to nurse them and nurse everybody else, and the nurses and my colleagues, there was so much diversity. And you know what? I absolutely loved my job.
yeah,
I'll never, never, ever forget that unit. I was there for 2 years,
mm,
and I loved it because I could be me and I could really shine as a nurse. And I was allowed to do that. And I really put myself and all my skills into my nursing. And because of that, Dave, I then excelled.
yeah,
I excelled in my career, because when you make an impact, it's noticed, and then when opportunities come, then you kind of are put forward. People already know and have evidence of what you've achieved.
mm,
So opportunities came, and I went for them, and I really excelled in my career from there. So yeah,
yeah.
it was
So
good.
what are the roles you've had since those early days? What types of
Yeah.
job have you had?
So I started off in those days, it was a band, not a band, we call them grade D,
Yes,
grade
I
D. So I was
remember.
a
Yeah.
grade D nurse, and then went on to grade E
Mm,
in 6 months, then went on to grade F in another 6 months, and then stayed at grade F, which I think is the equivalent, is it the equivalent of band 7 maybe, or
I think
8?
it's
I don't
somewhere
know.
around there. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so then I worked in the community.
Hmm.
So stayed an inpatient, then went into the community, and then did a lot of home treatment and crisis work.
Mm,
And again, really, really loved the whole kind of buzz, because I'm a type of person who I liked the busyness of it, and I liked the kind of problem solving and the crisis element to it, as in, you're working in an MDT way. You've got the police, you've got the social workers, you've got the psychiatrists, you've got you, the nurse, and I really loved all that and the fast pace of it.
mm,
So yeah, so I continued in my career, and went into community, and then obviously started, my family got married, and then started a family. And because of that, I knew that I had to, shift work became an issue,
yeah.
because and then moved on to work in primary care.
Hmm.
So then in 2005, I moved into primary care, and then when I moved into primary care, decided to train as a CBT therapist in 2008. And then yeah, so my role was 9 to 5, and then I was part of setting up what we call the IAPT services, improving
Yes.
access to psychological therapies.
Yeah.
So I did that and stayed in that role for 10 years.
Right. Yeah.
So that was again fantastic. I mean, I feel it
Yeah.
was fantastic. But in saying this, Dave, I know that I've got my passion in care and my passion in nursing. So I was doing a little bit of a combination of obviously the therapy and also keeping up with my nursing registration, working in A&E.
Mm,
But there was challenges along the way. There
yeah.
was challenges as a woman of color. The more you go up the bands, the more the challenges are, because there's, again, I was experiencing what I experienced at uni, where there's not many people who looked like me up there.
Mm, mm,
So higher up the bands, not many people who look like me. And again, the same kind of issues started creeping up, where um, turn up to meetings and you're asked, are you meant to be here? Am I in the right meeting? Those kind of things. And people are questioning you,
mm,
based on nothing else. But you're a black person, are you supposed to be in this really important meeting or this really senior meeting? So that's the only conclusion, because then if I was a white person, would they ask that question, or would they just join the meeting and carry on?
mm,
So a lot of different challenges obviously as you go up. But one of my reflection is, there is power,
mm,
so much power in being mentored and being coached
mm,
and having a leader who understands inclusion.
mm, mm,
So I was so fortunate to be led and have a manager who was inclusive and really helped me develop and helped me um, address some of the challenges that I faced in my career in senior leadership positions. So yeah, so I believe my mentor,
mm,
as well as my manager, who was a very inclusive, proper, real true leader, compassionate leader,
mm,
enabled me to reach where I reached. So my most recent role has been at a deputy director
mm.
level, and also I hold a regional role, which is just 1 day a week for the BME Strategic Advisory Group.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So, I mean, that's a really strong message, isn't it? About, and I guess it sometimes might be the luck of the draw. If you get a leader, a manager who is open and willing to support, it's the luck of the draw sometimes, isn't it? And not everybody has that. So yeah, it's good. It's good to hear that those people are out there. And you
yeah,
mentioned a mentor as well. That sounds like that was really, somewhere to go, someone to chew things
yeah.
over with. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah, and it was having a mentor who really got me and who really understood me. And for me, it was important to have a mentor who was female, but also who looked like me. So, and I'm not saying that everybody should get a mentor who looks like them, but for me, it was important because I wanted someone who could understand my struggles.
Yeah. And
So,
sometimes it's having
so
I think sometimes as well, it's about having a different mentor at different points, you know,
exactly,
depends what you need
exactly,
at that point in time. Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah. If you kind of, I guess, reflections on this last year of the nurse and the midwife, and COVID, and so many other things have happened this year. What how has it impacted you? What's your reflections on this last year?
This last year has really shown me the power of integrity within the nursing and midwifery workforce. It's also highlighted leadership and how there's true leaders, and we are true leaders as a nursing and midwifery workforce, and also highlighted resilience. My goodness, Dave, I mean, I've been working in nursing for over 20 years, and I've always known that as nurses, we are resilient beings and we are in this because we can, we want to make a difference. But this year has highlighted our level of resilience, which is just incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. And it also the leadership. I mean, the leadership, everyone had to quickly adjust. So
Mm,
there was something about, hang on, here's this invisible monster. We just have to be all hands on deck.
mm,
And this year I saw all hands on deck. I
mm,
didn't see anyone kind of slipping away and saying, oh my God, I don't know, I'm going to run off and hide.
mm,
Everyone ran to the issue and to the problem. And
mm,
everyone there was a togetherness. There
yeah.
was a togetherness about, let's join forces. We're in this. We're a team. Let's address this and fight this invisible monster together. And it makes me so proud to be part of such a workforce.
Mm,
Um, we've lost a lot of our colleagues, and it's been hard, but we've had to continue to do that,
mm,
to continue to actually continue fighting, continue on the battlefield, and we're still on that battlefield,
mm.
and really and truly, yeah, it's been a year of challenges, but a year that has really highlighted a lot of positive things for us.
Yeah. The best and the worst of things, really. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
If you, I mean, your journey, both the career journey and you moving over here, and your experiences in the Northwest, and then finding, going to London and that being a different experience for you. What would your advice to your younger self be if you were to give Ethel some advice setting out in her nursing career? What would it be?
My advice to my younger self would be, don't change who you are, be you. Continue to hold yourself with high esteem and believe in yourself. I wish, well, if I was to talk to my younger self, I'd be saying to her, don't shy away in your placements. Don't shy away as a student nurse and think, oh my God, no one wants to hear from me.
Mm,
And I'll wait for someone to tell me what to do. Go out there, be bold, be your bold self, and actually understand that you're there to learn and actually embrace every single learning opportunity.
mm,
I know that on reflection now, there were some learning opportunities that I missed out on because I had that fear of, I'm not going to be given the opportunity, or they're going to give it to my colleague who's white, and I better just take the back seat. So now I tell myself, actually, no, you deserve it.
mm,
You are just as important as any other one of your colleagues. So go out there, take the opportunities, and learn
mm.
and learn and really put yourself out there. That's what I will be telling myself.
Good advice to many, I guess. And if
Yeah.
you had a message for society, it's a big question, this one, a message for
Yeah.
society about nursing and midwifery and the part that people of colour play in that world and society more broadly, what might it be?
I would be saying to society that every single human being on this planet has got a part to play and a contribution to make. And if we just look at our workforce and look at things from a place of the importance of inclusion, we truly would excel in anything that we do. We would really excel if we were inclusive. If we looked at and understood the importance of diversity of thought, diversity of background around the decision-making tables. If we embrace that and understand that as absolutely important and really all thrive to have that around our decision making.
Sorry, we had a little technical glitch there, but yes, keep that was, yeah, keep going, Ethel. You're on mute again.
We
Got you
will
back.
really excel if we can you hear me, Dave?
Got you. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, inclusive leadership would make us really excel. So to society, treat be inclusive.
Mm,
Always think about who's around your decision-making table. Always think about diversity of thinking, diversity of background brings about innovation and brings about excellence and really helps us reach that golden standard that we are striving for every single day. I also want to say that compassion goes such a long way, the way that we treat each other and the way that we treat ourselves. So self-compassion and also compassion towards colleagues will go an absolutely long way. The way that you speak to your colleague will really make or break them. And I think if we really are compassionate leaders, we will really make an absolutely big difference within the NHS and really be productive and effective and retain our staff. And also we need to be compassionate to ourselves. And I realize that as leaders and as nurses, we are not really good sometimes at looking after ourselves because we really want to we're so used to firefighting and really going out there and really addressing the issues that arise. But we need to stop and also look after ourselves. So looking after ourselves is really just taking your breaks at work,
mm,
having your breaks, and at weekends or when you've got your time off, just having some fresh air and going for a walk and looking after you and self-nurturing. So that would be my message.
lovely, Ethel. Thank you so much for your time. It's always a pleasure to chat with you and
Thank you, Dave.
hear your wisdom. So thank you. Thanks for making the
Thank
time.
you.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Yeah, it's been great being here. Thank you.